रामावेडी पाणी खूप मोठे स्ट्रगल उभारले आपल्या गावामध्ये जातून भुरगे तांचे फुडें राहिले तेय भुरगे सगळ्यांनी जेलांत पुसून वचची पडली अशी तरेची परिस्थिती आयली. थँक्यू व्हेरी मच. दुसरे आमचे बरोबर आसात जे रवींद्रनाथ टागोराची जी फामाद कविता आसा ती कविता एक मंत्रीच घेवन कशी गेली कोण ना जाल्यार कोता येता एकला चलो रे. आणि फक्त इल्लिगल मायनिंग न्ही तर ताजे बरोबर बाकीच्या गजाली बरोबर तांणी खाणी की पाणी हो विषय घेऊन ते पावले. ते रमेश गांव हांगा आसात एक तांचे कडेन घेवची रमेश जेन्ना खाणीचेर वता तेन्ना म्हाका भंय दिसता सगळ्यांक सांगता अरे एकटो वचनाका कॅमेर घेता वता आनी थंय एकटो वचून हें करता. इतलें की ताच्या पुताचें लग्न आशिल्लें तेन्ना अक्षरशः कामगारांनी जेन्ना मायनिंगाचेर बॅन आशिल्लें तांणी सांगलें की लग्न पसून उजळान उडयतलो म्हणून.
Respected authors of the book, Dr. Claude Alvarez and Ambos, Advocate Mrs. Norma Alvarez, President of the Goa Foundation, and Mr. Professor, and ladies and gentlemen, of course I can't miss Mr. Raju Naik. In 2008, when I retired from judiciary, in fact I had decided whenever I am required to speak in public, I will always address only in my mother tongue Kokani and not in English. But circumstances sometimes demand that we have to make some adjustment. Just like today's function, which is essentially a release of a book in English, so it would be appropriate to address in English itself. Many things were told about Alvarez couple, and when I was a lawyer opposing them as a lawyer of the Union government, one more thing which I had heard, since many things were heard now, that they have been financed by Ceylon and Malaysian and Singapore lobby for all those things which they were doing. And that was instructions coming to me from a very important source, so that I should oppose their petitions tooth and nail. But Norma Alvarez is here and knows to what extent my opposition was. More than that, I must say that both of them, and particularly Norma Alvarez, when she appeared before the High Court when I was here for 4 years, in so many environmental matters, the way they presented the things, it was really a lesson for those who work in environmental movement. See, all these movements are absolutely necessary to protect the environment. There is no doubt about it. But at the same time, the movement should not be allowed to go to such an extent that they result in non-development. Because at the same as the movements are necessary, at the same time development also is necessary. And in that connection, I will certainly appreciate the efforts which they were making, the Alvarez were making in the court, because I have never heard them in the course of argument arguing the matter to such an extent that they do not want development. On the contrary, their approach was always have the development in proper direction, so that it benefits essentially the common man. I think that has been the approach always to them, and that is what is reflected even in today's book which is being released. In democracy, we know it is always said that it is a government by the people, for the people, and of the people. And to have a proper democratic setup, you must have a strong government. But at the same time, to have a proper and effective government, you need to have a proper opposition group. In the absence of proper opposition, the government can virtually go astray and can cause lot of damage to the public and even to the country as such. Bearing that in mind, if you see the work of Goa Foundation, they have done very constructive work. Take an example of this mining case. It was not sufficient only to go on the roads and shout against the government and against the miners, mining lobby, but rather to take steps which is legally available. And that is what the Goa Foundation did. They explored the legal avenues available for them. They approached the High Court, they approached the Supreme Court, got the proper order. But this was all possible because they were alert, prompt, and apt in taking the proper action. It is not sufficient that one gives a challenge to any problem which is faced by the society. When you give a challenge to any problem in the court, you have to pursue it properly. If there is no attempt to pursue the matter, then the matter is bound to fail. If you read the book, it not only gives the history of entire thing in a very informative manner, but it shows how the proper steps were taken at a proper time. That is what is important. Discipline is necessary in every field, and this discipline you see when legal steps are taken. The Goa Foundation took the matter in a disciplined manner. Their action did not cause any public destruction. Their action did not cause any public loss. On the contrary, the action has now resulted in lot of benefits for the Goa and Goan citizens. In fact, nowadays people speak about Goa, Goan and Goenkarpand, but here is a real Goenkarpand seen in this book. If you read the book, you will know what the real Goenkarpand is. Today's, all those who shout in the name of Goenkarpand, they can learn lot of things from this book. It is not a mere book of mining case itself, but it gives insight, in-depth information as to how the problem arose, what were the causes of the problem, and what was the solution found by Goa Foundation for the same. See, there was this mining, if I am not mistaken, in Goa started sometimes in 1929 onwards. And after the Second World War, it flourished to a large extent in Goa. It had not only impact on Goan economy as such, but also on the social life. Because initially all Goa was an agricultural territory. Old Goa history tells us that the old Goa market was so famous at that time that the businessmen from Arab and African countries used to visit, particularly to buy spices. But at that time, the landholders were known as Bhatkas. But with the coming of this mining activity, Minares took over the whatever social recognition was there to the Bhatkas, and they occupied that place.
Grassroots to the public, not to very great extent. We've been pushing this since 2014, and we still find many people have never heard of it, which is a little disappointing. But part of it is because most people haven't heard about it, but the media is largely controlled by the mining people, so it doesn't seem to get much support. But Lokmat, Herald, even Gomantak, and even people like Francis Detue have actually tried to spread the word, but we need much more effort from more people.
So how can this be, turn into a good movement?
That, Raju, if I knew, I would, we would be in a different place. But I really think that we need to make it we need to bring this idea that we're all owners of this wealth and we're all actually custodians, rakhondas of the wealth.
Yes.
And we must do it together as a Goan people and not, each individually. Because what's now happening is that politicians taking the money and saying that, we'll spend it for this group and that group. But if we do it the other way, where we save it for our children and earn some income and give everybody a dividend, then there is equality and there is solidarity. And we can.
So you are propagating the idea that the full fund should be in the permanent fund. Huh?
Yes.
The full revenue what we are earning on this mining,
Yeah.
it has to be deposited.
Saved for our children. Saved.
So what amount the dividend? What is the exact amount?
This is, of course, a
This is
projection in.
interesting question.
It's a projection in the future, but the first 4 mines have been auctioned, and at the 20 million cap, the whole thing can be done in 7 years. At the end of 7 years, based on the auction results, if all the money is put into the fund and we get 3% after inflation, which is not much, that each person in the state of Goa can get about 9,000 rupees a year.
Each person.
Each person, every man, woman and child.
4 blocks.
Only the 4 blocks so
Yes, and
far.
how many are the total blocks?
Well, there are over 200, some 270 to 80
Okay,
blocks.
If all are auctioned, approximate figure I want.
We have no idea. It'll be so large, but it'll take a long time also.
Okay.
Because it's 20 million each year. So we're saying the full thing is used by the first 4 blocks.
Yes.
So it keeps on adding each year.
Okay. So it's a good idea. So that people will also be very much interested in knowing that this belongs to them. We should fight for preservation to conservation. How mining auction is done. People will be they will be serious. It can turn into a good movement.
It can turn it, but think about it like this. Mining started in 1950.
Yes.
If our forefathers had done this and today we were, say, getting a dividend of 20,000 rupees a year or 50,000 rupees a year, would we not think that they were very foresighted and we had like a fund of thousands of crores or hundreds of thousands?
From 2004 to 2012, state has not earned anything when there was a big activity in mining.
Yeah.
So nobody is interested in knowing about it. Also, the general public is some kind of sushaka. Government revenue is also not done. Only people who are earning are 4-5 mine owners and not mine owners, leaseholders, ex-leaseholders, and some politicians.
Absolutely. And people have forgotten, they think that minerals belong government ka property, but they've forgotten it's actually ours, and not only ours, it is our duty to make sure our children get it. And we're completely failing our duty. And that money which is being captured by the politicians and these ex-leaseholders, that is leading to the corruption and the misgovernance in Goa.
And also usually the elections.
Of course. So the whole political system is, so on one side you have the bad from what's going on, but if we do it properly, then we can have a very much better Goa. So that's what we're trying to do.
जे पेटिशन आहले सुप्रीम कोर्टान तितून आमी एक पेटिशनर आहले आनी आयज आमकां दिसता की जो फंड जो येता लीज ऑक्शन करून तो फंड फक्त पब्लिकेक म्हणजे जे कोल ब्लॉका हे आतां पब्लिकेचे म्हणून सिद्ध जाल्यार गव्हर्मेंट फक्त तेजो केअरटेकर तेन्ना सरकारान हो पयसो फक्त पब्लिकेक वापरूंक जाय आनी पब्लिकेचे कशें वेलफेअर जातलें आयज जनता
पब्लिकाचें वेलफेअर तूं म्हणटा CM फाल्यां पब्लिकाचो वेलफेअर कितें तो ठरयता साखळेन पयसो खर्च करता आमकां जाय हो फुडल्या जनरेशना खातीर पयसो आयचे आज कित्याक काबार करून उडोवया हाजूच हे फिक्स डिपॉझिटान घालो ताजो डिविडंड प्रत्येक मनशाक पावपा जाय आज जर 4 मायनी ब्लॉक पयशे कितें लिलाव केला तांचो जर पयशे जर वेवस्थीत जर फिक्स डिपॉझिटान दवरत जाल्यार 9,000 रुपया गोंयच्या प्रत्येक मनशाक मेळूं शकता ही कल्पना कित्याक तुका पटना.
ना बरोबर आसा न्हू, आमी फूल सपोर्ट केला न्हू ताका, आमी फूल सपोर्ट केला प्रत्येक वेळा, आनी आतां आमचो पूर्ण पाठिंबो आसतलो. आनी हांवें फाटीं स्टेटमेंटूय केला की जर हांगा चाल ढकल करता हें करपाक सरकार जाल्यार आमी सुप्रीम कोर्टान सुद्दां परत पेटिशन फायल करपाची आमची तयारी आसतली हेचेर.
I think the idea of intergenerational equity is really about bringing justice in the system where there's a great amount of disparity in incomes. And I think the only way to attract people to understand that it's their resources, it's their money, is to say that it's yours and we can give you a share of this money. But essentially it is meant for the state, for the people, for the development and future generations. And people need to understand that this resource which has been handed to us over the years is theirs, not just to use now, but to kept also for future generations. I think that's an essential sort of tenet of this movement.
How this can be turned into a movement where everybody will say this is our money, you are just a trustee. They will tell this to the government.
I think it's important that people understand that whatever resource we have, we cannot be consumed now. I mean, we look at the oil, for example, in the world today, where we're running out of oil. So it has to be used judiciously, used in a manner in which it can be stretched for as long a time it is used. It doesn't destroy the environment. So people realize that we cannot consume everything now itself, that we have to be preserved for the future through their own life experiences. That you spend everything in your bank and you realize that you have a problem at the end of it. You have to keep that saving for the future, for a rainy day. And we've seen countries which are going to face this problem. I mean, oil-rich nations which are wealthy today, in another few decades, will have nothing, no resource. Historically seen a lot of these countries really completely go down, especially in South America. So people, I think, will inherently understand it. But the first principle is really for them to realize that it's theirs. It's not the government's. It is for the people.
Intergenerational equity is an old concept followed by all business families. It is nothing new. Only it was not being followed. That is another story. But now that it has come to the forefront, I think it is a wise move to follow it.
Because we have seen 2004 to 2012, extraction was at the peak. But some 2 to 5% paid to the government as royalty. Nothing remained. Everything they finished, and no money has been kept for the.
Allow me to correct you. It was not only royalty. There was an export duty, substantial amount. According to my information, about 30,000 to 40,000 crores went to central government by way of the export duty, of which virtually nothing came back to Goa. Now, this is money which ought to have come back to Goa to set up infrastructure, and with 30,000-40,000 crores, I am sure a lot could have been done. Anyway, that being said, at least now, if some amount of money comes back into the intergenerational equity, because mining, essentially you are depleting something which has taken millions of years to form. Atna जर deplete तुवें केलें, so then what about the next generation? आमी सुद्दां आमच्या बापायक विचारताले न्ही, what have you done for us?
सो जगार कितलेशे अशे देश आसात, नॉर्वे आसा, स्विडन आसा, जे हो पयसो पेट्रोलियम प्रोडक्टांतल्यान येवपी पयसो फिक्स डिपॉझिटान घालतात, इंटरनॅशनल मॉनिटरी फंडान घालतात, ताजे पासून ल्हान भुरग्याक सुद्दां खंय पॉकेट मनी मेळटा. सो अशे तरेची जर एक जबाबदारी सरकाराचेर येत जाल्यार हो पयसो आनी मायन कंपन्यांचेरय एक प्रेशर येतलो की बाबा आमी बरे तरेन हो पयसो वापरतात. सो लोक मायनींग कंपन्यां कडेन सुद्दां बरे नदरेन पळयताले. आज जाता कितें, मायनींग कंपन्यां कडेन इलेक्शन फंड घेतात, चोर जाले आनी ते दुसरे चोराक पोसतात, कारण इलेक्शन फंड दितात, तांचे राजकीय पक्ष पोसतात. सो तुमकांय मायनींग कंपन्यो सरकाराचेर प्रेशर कित्याक हाडनात की हो पयसो जो आसा तो फिक्स डिपॉझिटान परमनंट फंडान आसचो?
No, I don't know. That pressure हाडना. But I personally feel that we should leave something for the future generations. I am working according to that. Now, what other person is doing, how can I say anything?
बाकीचे मायन ओनरा परस मातसो वेगळो.
Maybe, because I am very small. So I can afford to be different. Of course I support this idea. That's why I am here today, no?
Very nice.
I have always supported this idea, and I feel even in our own families, aren't we doing it? Don't we keep something for the next generation? That is the concept of India. We are savers. West is different concept. They are spenders. But here we have something to learn from Norway, Sweden and all that, who have institutionalized the intergenerational equity.
हनुमंत बाब हे ट्रक ओनरय बी मायनींग एरियेन रावतात आनी मायनींग कंपन्या कडेन झगडटातय बी. म्हजो तांकां तोच प्रश्न आसा की तुमी मायनींग इंडस्ट्रीन आसात, हो सगळो पयसो सरकाराच्या ताब्यांत दिवन काबार करून उडोवचे परस तो परमनंट फंडान घालून ताजो बरी विल्हेवाट लागची, म्हणजे फुडल्या जनरेशना खातीर ते पयसो उरचो आनी दुसरें ताजो जो डिविडंड मेळटा वर्साक तो सामान्य लोकां मेरेन प्रत्येक मनशाक मेळचो. आतां 4 जे पळय ब्लॉक तांचो लिलाव केला तांचोच जर पयसो धरलो जाल्यार 9,000 रुपया दर वर्सा प्रत्येक मनशाक गोंयकाराक मेळूं शकता. सो ही कन्सेप्ट, ही संकल्पना तुका कशी लागता?
ऑलरेडी सुप्रीम कोर्टान जो ऑर्डर दिल्या परमनंट जो आमचो फंड मायनींग बेल्टान जावं गोंय खातीर तो सरकारान आसपाकूच जाय लोकां खातीर आनी ताका टच खंयच करपाक जायना. आमचो खर हेका विरोध आसा आनी जाय पडले जाल्यार आमी रस्त्यार येतले ह्या विशयाक घेवन. कारण हो
तुमी ह्या कन्सेप्टाक सपोर्ट करतात?
सपोर्ट करता.
म्हणजे सरकारान पयसो वापरपाक जायना
ना केन्ना, कारण आज पळया इतलो आमचो डिजास्टर जाला, पिसुर्ले गांव, आमचे 80 एकर शेती, सगळे डिजास्टर जाला. अजून सरकारान तो पयसो एक्चुअली आमच्या गांवा खातीर वापरूंक जाय तो वापरूंक ना. पॅडी फिल्ड आसात, लोकांक परत एम्प्लॉयमेंट क्रिएट करपा खातीर अजून करूंक ना. आनी हो पयसो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑर्डरी प्रमाणे जाल्लो आसा, हो गव्हर्मेंटान क्रिएट करूंक ना. तो फंड आमच्या खातीरूच वापरूंक जाय आनी सरकार जर अशें कितें करता जाल्यार हें चुकीचें आहा, तें करप.
गजाल कितें आसा, क्लाउड आल्वरीस आनी त्या पुस्तकान मागलां की हो डिस्ट्रिक्ट मिनरल फंड आनी एक परमनंट फंड म्हणून सगळो पयसो परमनंट फंडान घालचो, खंयचोच वापरपाक दिवचो न्ही. ताका लागून जातलें कितें की प्रत्येक मनशाक एक इक्विटी मेळटली. मागीर तातूंतल्यान एक जबाबदारी येतली की ह्यो मायनी आमच्यो, आमकां डिविडंड दितात, आमी हाजी पोसवण करपा जाय. ही मायनींग इंडस्ट्री आमच्या खुस्तार चलता, ती बरे तरेन चलपाक जाय, डिग्रेडेशन जावपाक जायना, निसर्ग सांबाळपाक जाय, पर्यावरणाचें जतन जावपाक जाय. सो तूं ह्या कन्सेप्टान म्हणजे काडून मुख्यमंत्री किंवा मायनींग मिनिस्टराच्या हातान दिलो तो आपल्याक जाय तसो खर्च करता न्ही, प्रायोरिटी तो ठरयता. सो हो पयसो सगळो फुडल्या पिळगे खातीर जतन करपाची ही आयडिया
ना, उरपाकूच जाय फुडले पिळगेक. आनी जो परमनंट फंडानूच हो उरपाक जाय आनी तो डिविडंड आसा तो वेलफेअर ऑफ गोवा खातीर वापरपाचो लोकां खातीर. आनी अशेंच सरकारान करप, कित्याक हो लाँग टर्म मनी आसा आनी तो इन्वेस्टमेंट करता. आनी दुसरें दुर्दैव आमचो विरोध आसा, आमी ऑलरेडी ठराव घेतला एक 3 म्हयन्या पयलीं की 50 वर्सां जी लिजीस दिल्या ह्या गोष्टीक आमचो गांव पिसुर्ले शेतकऱ्यांनी आमी विरोध केल्लो आसा आनी आमी सरकाराकूय हो विरोध कळयल्लो आसा लेखी प्रमाणे.
तुमी कितें मागणी आसा तुमची?
आमचे मेन म्हणजे ऑलरेडी गेली 50 वर्सां आमी गांवांत पळयले मायनींग चलोन कशा प्रकारे डिजास्टर जाला, तो आमचो पयलीं रिफील करून दिया. आसा तशी एज, कारण तळी आमची, बागायती आमची सगळी झरी आसा, न्हंयो काबार केल्या आनी आयज जमनीची जी फर्टिलिटी आसा पळय ती गेल्ली आसा. सो आमकां परत बॅक टू एग्रीकल्चर वचपाक जाय, कारण तें आमचें आज्या पणज्यान दवरलेलें धन आसा शेत म्हटल्यार तें आमकां फुडले पिळगेक आमकां राखून दवरप ही आमची जबाबदारी आसा. आनी ऑलरेडी जेन्ना क्लोजर प्लॅनान हांकां सगळें डायरेक्शन आसा पूण तेंच्यांनी इम्प्लिमेंट करूंक ना. सो आमी ठराव आमचो आमसभेन जालो आनी आमी गव्हर्मेंटाक, मायन्स डिपार्टमेंटाक एज वेल एज सेंट्रल गव्हर्मेंटाक इन रायटींग कळयल्लें आसा की 50 वर्सां जो तुमी लीज दिता हेका आमचो विरोध आसा आनी फुडले पिळगेक म्हणजे लोकांचें मत कांयच हेंच्यांनी आयकून घेवंक ना. डायरेक्ट हेंच थरयता सरकार आनी हें 5 ते 10 वर्सांनी हे सगळें आमची जी मीन उरला तें काबार करपाचो हो षडयंत्र.
तूं इतलो लढो दिता आनी तुजेर हल्लेय जातात, ह्या सगळ्या परिस्थितीक तूं कशें तोंड दिता पर्सनली?
पळय, आमी सत्याच्या मार्गान आमी वता, शांततेच्या मार्गान आमी गेल्ले आसा, पूण हे जे हल्ले केला हे सरकारान पोसलेले लोकांनी केल्ले आसा, हे सगळे सरकारच्या अधिकाऱ्यांनी केल्ले आहा. आज दुर्दैव आसा ह्या लोकांचेर कारवाई जावंक ना. आमी सत्य आहा म्हणून आमी फुडें गेल्ले आसा. आमी खंयच कोणाच्या 5 पयशाच्या भितर ना आनी आमी सत्याचे आमकां जे जाय आमचो अधिकार तो आमी अधिकारा खातीर ह्यान फुडें लडटले. हल्ले जाले म्हणून आमी आमचें मन कणखर आसा, कारण आमची लढाई आसा ती आमचे गांव आनी आमचें गोंय राखपा खातीर.
रमेश बाब, म्हजो प्रश्न तुका आसा की हे जे पळय इंटर जनरेशनल इक्विटी म्हणून जो कन्सेप्ट गोवा फावंडेशनान हाडला की हे पयशे खंयच्याच कामाक वापरप ना, ते पयशे सरकाराच्या हातान वचपाक जायना, लोक हाजे ट्रस्टी, हे सगळो पयसो जो मायनिंगांतल्यान येता तो सगळो परमनंट फंडान घालप आनी तातूंतलो डिविडंड मनशाक पावप. आतां 4 जे पळय ब्लॉक तांचो लिलाव केला तातूंतल्यान येवपी जर पयशे जर सगळो वेवस्थीत जर गुंतयत जाल्यार प्रत्येक मनशाक गोंयकाराक 9,000 रुपया वर्साक मेळटले. तुजी कल्पना कितें आसा ह्या संदर्भात?
गंमत अशी आसा की हो प्रेशर जोपर्यंत लोकां कडल्यान येना तोपर्यंत जाणें शक्य ना. पयली गजाल म्हणजे हो कन्सेप्टच लोकांच्या लक्षात येना की गव्हर्मेंट इज अ ट्रस्टी आणि पब्लीक जे आसा लोक आसात ते त्याचे ओनर. ही ओनरशिपचो कन्सेप्टच आमच्या लोकांच्या तकलेन येना तर फुडल्यो गजाली कश्यो लक्षांत येतल्यो थंयच सगळे आमचे
तूं म्हणटा एक मुवमेंट जावपाची गरज आहा न्ही?
मुवमेंट जावपाची गरज आसा पण मुवमेंट खंय जाता? वायब्रंट सोसायटी आसा थंय.
सामकें आमी सुशेगाद आनी आळशी जाल्यात आनी सरकार कितें सांगता तें आमी आयकतात.
आयकतात सरकार कितें सांगता तें आयकतात. हेच्या पेक्षा आमी कन्वर्ट जाल्यात फक्त वोटर्साच्या भितर आनी ते वोटर्स आसात ते सरकारचे आसात आणि म्हणून सरकार ते सांगता ते आयकतात आमी.
ना पूण हो कन्सेप्ट जर लोकांक सांगत की तुका वर्साक 9,000 रुपया मेळटले, लोकां मदीं जागृती जावची ना?
लोकांच्या मध्ये हेचेर त्याच्या पयलींच उलयल्लो हांव जेव्हा म्हणजे आमचे क्लॉड म्हणटाले त्या वेळाचेर की हें अशें करचें म्हणून बाकीच्या हेच्या पेक्षा. तश 9,000 खातीर लोक ना. इलेक्शनान जर समजा 5,000 गावता जाय, झेडपीच्या इलेक्शनान परत जर 2-3,000 गावता.
पूण तुजी मायनींग हें तुजी मालकी त्या आनी दुसरें हें मायनींग करतना कसलें डिग्रेडेशन जावपाक जाय?
त्या प्रमाणान सकयल पासून सुरवात जावपाक जाय. लोकांच्या मध्ये एक जागृतता हाडपा खातीर हय तुमी इतकें घालयतात त्याच्यामुळे फुडली तुमची पिढी आसा ती बँकरप्ट जातली. तुमकां ती जाल्ली जाय कारण जॉब मेळणें शक्य ना. त्यामुळे जे आसा हातीन ती संपत्ती तुम्ही फुडल्या पिढये खातीर तशाच पद्दतीन वापरतले काय ना अशा प्रकारची जागृती मास लेवलचेर जावपाक जाय आणि मास लेवलचेर करणारे असे मास लिडर आमच्या कडेन ना. ही त्याच्या फुडली.
पूण तूं रमेश बाब तूं इल्लो चड नेगेटीव असो उलयता अशें दिसता म्हाका. तूं कार्यकर्तो, तूं समाजाच्या तळागाळांतल्यान काम करत आयला, तूं इतलो नेगेटीव कित्याक जाला?
न्हू हांव वस्तुनिश्ठ उलयतां. हांव कोणाकय सांगता हांव ट्रॅजीक ऑप्टिमिस्ट. कळ्ळें? ट्रॅजीक ऑप्टिमिस्ट. बेश्टे हें आसा तें आसा अशें म्हणप ना. समजून घेवप आनी त्या दिशेन मागीर आंखणी करा आनी फुडें या.
जातली मुवमेंट जातलो केन्ना तरी?
मुवमेंट करपाचे दीस सोंपले आनी आतां जे जातले ना ते फक्त मुवमेंट पॉलिटिकल पार्टींचे.
तूं म्हणटा कांयच जावचें ना?
ना म्हाज्या खातीर हांव स्पश्टच उलयतां. कांयच जाणें शक्य ना जो पर्यंत लोक सकयलसून समजून घेनात की हे माझ्या भविष्याचे सगळी गॅरंटी दिणारे हे जे फंड आसा तो फुडल्या माझ्या जनरेशन.
एक सांग म्हाका, लोक कितेंय करतले पूण तुका अशें दिसता कार्यकर्ते पर्यावरणवादी हांचे फेलियर न्ही लोकां मदीं तो संदेश पावना जाल्यार?
फेलियर कार्यकर्त्यांचे किंवा पर्यावरणवाद्यांचे फेलियर नाही. तो पर्यावरणवादी मुठभर आसात, कार्यकर्ते मुठभर आसात आणि त्याच्यामुळे कार्यकर्ते आणि एनवायरमेंटलिस्टांक जे आसात ते एंटी डेव्हलपमेंट म्हणून ब्रँडिंगच केल्लें आसा आणि त्याच्यामुळे लोकांची सहानुभूती सरकारानच हे करून मेळची न्हू म्हणून प्रयत्न केल्ले आसात. अशा वेळाचेर आमची वाट कठीण आसा पण मुश्कील ना म्हाज्या हिशोबान.
थँक्यू.